Hello, everyone. Welcome to the On-Chain India podcast. Today we have with us Arthur from Hemera. Welcome, Arthur, to this podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for the invite.
Awesome. Arthur, I think we are going to have a very interesting discussion today about your journey, about Hemera's initial journey, and the big vision on what Hemera is doing. So, I'd love to kickstart with your Web3 journey, how it all started, how did you land up in this space?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely that's a great question. I think a little bit about myself. I've been a kind of serial entrepreneur in the Silicon Valley. Mainly, I started out building machine learning and AI softwares to serve enterprises in the Valley, almost a decade ago. And then about like 3 years ago, we, saw the rise of NFT summer, and we realized crypto space was more about simply fintech or financial trading, but it could eventually propagate to serve the greater goods of consumer internet, and that really attracted me and my co-founders, who were kind of data and machine learning and AI alcoholics. We realized utilizing the kind of the on-chain data or data that's actually owned and controlled by end users, you could have built or your promise of building the next generation of internet in a way more decentralized way. Things like decentralized social network, gaming, NFTs, RWAs, and many more were attracting us, back then. So that's kind of almost 3 years ago we started playing with utilizing on-chain data. How do we actually read and process and analyze on-chain data at scale? And gradually we kind of figure out, hey, we realized a couple of things, right? First of all, the lack of infrastructure regarding on-chain data or enabling end users or developers to run machine learning algorithm was far behind. So that was the first surprise. So the second thing was, hey, why don't we come up and build the data layer or data infrastructure that can actually enable utilization of data science and machine learning and eventually AI to empower other users back then. So we started off building various different applications like kind of user analytics, wallet address analytics, just all surrounding kind of behavior analysis of individual wallets on chain. And that really got us to take off to serve hundreds and hundreds of NFT projects, GameFi projects, and SocialFi projects. And that was, kind of how we got started. And gradually over the past, 2 year also, we realized not just building a kind of infrastructure was important, but also coming up with a standard way, like a protocol to empower open source adoption and also more contribution and developer community to contribute to the same effort was also important. That's where what we call a concentric indexing protocol came up with. And our, we internally we not only just have we been building the protocol itself, but also we've been tinkering of utilizing this protocol to help us ourselves to build applications to serve end users. Some of which include building blockchain explorers, indexers. That's kind of the core infrastructure to serve the blockchain ecosystem. Other more interesting things, including recently we started building kind of on-chain data or AI-empowered AI trading agents to help users scout for on-chain meme coins fastest and more accurately. So yeah, we can definitely talk more about that later. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think this is like a very interesting, sort of the use cases that few of you mentioned. I think we'll definitely, deep dive into it. But first, Arthur, I think, let's also deep dive, like how does this, account centric, indexing work, and how is it, different, like the traditional means or in now general means, how, blockchain, uses that sort of data.
Yeah. Would love to share. So a concentrated indexing. Well, it's a fancy term, but if you take one step back and think, ask me what does it mean? It's really a standard way or standard protocol that defines how developers can read blockchain data at scale from different blockchains surrounding individual accounts. And the reason why we started off doing this is really, first of all, because of Ethereum ecosystem or EVM's account, model is um, kind of not not the most developer friendly. If you were one of those consumer facing developers and would love to understand your user demographics in terms of their on-chain activities, for example, figuring out how many of them are meme traders, gamers, or social players or NFT traders, that would require you as a developer to build everything from scratch. Very likely you have to work with Alchemy to pull data from RPC level and then aggregate different smart contract transactions, understanding what each smart contract does, some of which are, again, NFT contracts, others are GameFi, blah, blah, blah. And then at that point, your data scientist in your team, if you have one, could understand and analyze the kind of the population, demographics of your on-chain community. And that to us is like too much of work, but first of all, and for not too very essential gain. But at the same time, if you came from a Web2 background, then like with anything related to performance marketing or kind of sustainable growth of your community, that's like the 101 lesson, right? That's the first step you have to do, understand your users. So that's where the account-centric indexing comes about. So basically, is a protocol that defines, hey, and also infrastructure that defines how you, as a developer, could um, query data or query data at the account level, meaning for every single wallet account that you have, what are the past behaviors? What are the past transactions? In particular cross-chain, cross smart contract that you could have gotten from different on-chain assets, and then power your next generation kind of utilities. For example, we support a layer of user-defined functions, which instead of returning the raw transaction data to developers, it actually return contextual values to developers, including is he or she a gamer, or is this user a whale or meme coin trader? What are the P&L, stuff like that. So that's like kind of a one huge step forward to any developer that build on top of account-centric indexing. And we as a kind of data layer really power any kind of dApp builders to read data from blockchain at scale. And on the side note, right, if you look across the Web3 history, majority of the protocol or infrastructure company have building protocol that that really empower user to write the data to blockchain at scale. For example, Solana was invented because EVM was slow, and recently there's high performance chains like MegaETH, Monad, right, all utilizing kind of slightly different protocols to write data to blockchain, generating block spaces at scale, right? So that's the thing. But when writing to the blockchains scale up, your read from blockchain also needs to scale up in order to kind of power your application. So that's our thesis here. Yeah.
Nice. I was chatting with few developers, and we had an extensive discussion on like user generated sort of functions and how it is sort of actually helping a lot of in their development sort of an ecosystem. Uh, how do you think in a macro scale, right? I mean, these sort of user defined functions will play like a pivotal role for the development.
Yeah, so I think that's a great question, right? So user-defined function, well, again, if you came from a technical background, then it's not the jargon, but intuitively speaking, right, it's more like whatever developers or users want to see, you can actually define that through a piece of code with a standard interface, right? But in essence, intuitively speaking, when we actually focus on kind of what's the latest and the most active user activities on chain, then the set of user-defined function can really support these kind of use cases the most, right? Just imagine if you suddenly have a set of user-defined functions surrounding meme coin trading on EVM chains, then we could have enabled or empowered a lot of developers to build on top of us, right? Just like what I briefly mentioned, AI agent would be one thing, right? Just imagine these days when people talk about AI agents, people automatically in Web3 space, people automatically equate AI agents with meme coin on one side, or at the most, chatbots, right? But none of these chatbots or AI have access to quality on-chain data. But what if we provide this set of user-defined function to these AI agents? Then suddenly these AIs can integrate with the user-defined functions through, some recent terms like MCP, right? And utilize the user-defined function as on-chain tooling, and it can suddenly empower a suite of different, kind of applications or agents built on top of or relating to on-chain data. For example, something we've been experimenting is really this kind of analyst or alpha hunting agent, right? Like I mentioned, we have a suite of user-defined function to identify and calculate who are the highest, most profitable traders on base, and who's being the fastest trader and most profitable on base, right? In different meme coins, who are fastest on Trump, on Jelly, stuff like that. And once you combine all these signals together, you suddenly have a very interesting list of wallets that that we can actually help developer and users monitor on a daily basis. And then what we could build is really this alpha hunting or copy trading agent, right? So whenever you see smart money buying certain tokens as a kind of retail or a casual meme coin trader or retail trader, you can just follow these signals and decide whether or not you want to trade, right? So that's kind of one use case. Others may be like, hey, what if you are a kind of a ecosystem analyst? You want to figure out, okay, so meme coin trading is super popular, but who's actually making money consistently, right? So, and these user-defined functions can also empower such analytics and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Amazing. I think, yeah, this, I mean, specific to, whatever the event occurs, specifically in our, overchanging Web3 industry, I think this user defined functions will play a pretty pivotal role. And I think there are like just, tons of use cases, which are very, very, user oriented. And I think, people would just love to have those results out. Yeah. Can't wait, till this gets into, major adoption. Yeah, Arthur, moving on, I think, I think Hemera was fortunate to have, some of, tier one VCs, backing you through the initial journey. When we are speaking to, founders, I think a lot of these times, our industry is going through a lot of, different narratives, month after month and quarter after quarter. So, what is your advice, specifically for, developers and founders who are trying to raise their initial rounds? Like how should they plan out the funding roadmap? How should, it look like? Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a very important and also very tricky question to discuss in today's market, right? First of all, I think if you look at today's market, we are pretty much at the end of a kind of a bigger cycle relating to primary market investment, meaning the altcoins exit route has been kind of fuzzy, and the previous or recently released altcoins, statistically speaking, didn't perform really well, and also the retailers and the community have started to embrace this concept of fair launch or meme coin. So that's a lot of kind of a complexity or complications surrounding the ecosystem right now. That and the reason why I want to talk about this kind of situation is really to set a stage for founders today. If you were gonna go out to raise the first or second or any sort of rounds, right? Because that's gonna affect how investors think, at least in the near term. But as a founders, you have to have long-term vision, right? That's for sure. And that's also the most important thing to think about. It's just you have to adjust to the investment reality right now. So if you ask me, the advice I would have for today's founder, a couple of things. So first thing I think is definitely the investment kind of appetite has or the market appetite has slowly and gradually changed from more narrative focused to more product market fit focused projects. Meaning, if you are gonna raise a fund or launch a token today, I think the first thing you need to think about is whether or not I have product market fit as a normal founder. The reason why is if you have product market fit, meaning real users, be it a large population or small population, as long as you have real users have been using your products, and also generating revenue and values for these users, right? Generating revenue for the project, and then your chances of survival and also raising the next round of funding and also listing your tokens is much bigger. And even if you list your token may suffer a lot less from short kind of traders, stuff like that. I think that really is a key to build a kind of solid foundation to your business. And then the second suggestion I would have is really to think about your project and your business models from a first principle standpoint. Because if you think about in today's market, it's end of a kind of a really larger cycle where VC pouring a lot of money previously, um, and exited a lot of projects which didn't perform well. So right now the VCs are being kind of more relatively reserved and also have less funding. So your business model has to be one of these kind of business model that really touches on the core of Web3. And in today's market, I think the most battle hardened and battle tested business models are three types, right? Blockchains, exchanges, or stable coins. If you are fortunate enough to nail one of these business models, then you will have a very strong foundation. No matter if the market condition is bear or bull, right? You will survive in the longer run. Or if you are not one of these business models, you have to be surrounding or directly facilitating these business models, right? For example, I just mentioned UDF for meme trading. So that's one example, right? If we, as Hemera, if we can empower developers to build the best meme trading functionality to help users make decision fastest and most convenient, then we are touching on the kind of a trading or exchange business model, right? So that would be a way to go. The third one is really if the top two ways, if the first two kind of points I just discussed, it's not solved yet, then as a founder, you have to make enough time for yourself to figure out a viable route towards the first 2 points, right? Finding PMF, building your business model. That's essentially the first 2 points. Then I would suggest you to go, really persistently to look for funding sources, any sort of funding sources to fund your project, right? Not just from VCs, friends and family, trusted angels, even community funding, or even grants from ecosystems. I think any sort of funding that allows you as a founder to kind of survive long enough in the market and figuring out again the PMF and business model, that's gonna help you to survive or help you to help your project to thrive eventually. I think as long as you stay in the game long enough, you will figure it out.
Great advice, Arthur. I'm pretty sure. I think a lot of developers and founders take this, and hopefully we see some good fundraising happening because of this advice.
Thank you.
Moving on, other, I think since last year, I think Web3 and AI convergence has been like pretty on the top. I think we have seen some really good fundamental uh, you know applications building. We have seen some use cases, and I think day and day as more retail is involved in using any of these applications, I think this industry is going to thrive. How does in a larger vision picture, how does Hemera's vision fit in this Web3 AI convergence, and what do you think would be the next big step for Hemera?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty strategic question, right? So I think right now, to be honest, right now, if you ask all of the founder today, where does AI and Web3 cross? Most people don't have a concrete answer yet. Meaning today, right? If you look at short term, but longer term, like 3 to 5 years, I think the two has to cross over, and um, and to some extent, many of builders I've spoken to, including myself, feel like it's such a nice coincidence, if you call it, right? Where crypto, or Web3 technology like blockchains can actually solve some, if not most of the kind of the biggest blockers for AI to thrive, including, right, for example, like decentralized account system or payment rails where AI agents or AIs can pay each other, outside of the scope of, Web 2. There's no other Web 2, payment rails, like, no matter if it's Visa, Master, or whatever, can actually do same things. That's one thing. A second, AI security and data security that has to be solved using blockchain. Because if even if you look at today, I think on one side, AI company like GPT and DeepSeek is generating so much value to the end user, where they help user crawl the entire web very deep level. So users don't no longer have to go to any of these websites. They can just go to DeepSeek and GPT, right, to ask the AI to search the web for them and answer any sort of questions or even do research. But that's breaking the internet model like Google created like 20 years ago, right? Where Google provides the search, leads the traffic to a website. Website can actually generate revenue based off the traffic. As such, the website has the incentive to create the contents, right? So that the traffic can keep on going to the websites, right? That's kind of the past 20 years business model. And that's also relating to the data privacy, right? Like, for example, the website generating contents, the content, quote unquote, is owned by the website, like YouTube, right? Or maybe end users, in a soft way. But now this equation is breaking, right? Where AI is taking all the traffic without sending any traffic to the websites. And also AI is taking all the data from these websites without sending any, revenues to these websites. So the data side, very likely is gonna become more, more focused on private data, where individual websites or companies will start building walls to block AI, and public data will be less and less, right? So blockchain can be utilized to kind of ensure and guarantee the data sovereignty, and also put more data back into this quote unquote public or semi-public data pool, where AI companies have to pay individual users who own the data, right? At least some sort of revenue share, or maybe even better, in the form of tokens as ownership to the end users. Because that's the only sustainable way to keep on growing the AI, right, for the whole internet or whole humanity. Because alternatively speaking, all the latest data will be in silos and private walls, right? Like I just mentioned. So okay, so if you sum it up, right, like accounts, payments, and also data, which is the fuel of AI, all require the intersection, or it requires the solution of blockchain to solve the problem. So I think Hemera for us, right, like we fitting as a data layer, where we do want to, keep on building and strengthening the data layer to really kind of help position blockchains as a data layer, not just for Web3, but also for the whole internet, right? Like, including Web2 and Web3, and also next generation AI powered internet, right? So you can imagine there's a AI layer underneath, but also there's a data layer which power this AI layer for the next generation internet. I think if we it succeed, not even 100% of the vision, maybe like 10% or even 1% of the vision. I
Yeah.
think but Web3 will be huge, and as such, Hemera can also be huge in this way as well. Yeah.
Awesome. I think it's a grander vision, and I mean, can't wait to see you guys, go over the line and have, a lot of, these interesting things cooking and a lot of adoption coming in.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Couple of quick, last two questions, Arthur. We're running out of time, but as a user or as a developer, if they want to have some contribution to, the Hemera network, I mean, amazing, sort of things what you're building. What are the possible ways, from the both side of things? We just want to encourage our audience to, be associated or contribute to Hemera in whatever way possible.
Yeah, I think today a more kind of a rewarding way to participate in Hemera is really to follow us on in particular our application layer like social scan, because that's where we kind of develop and land many of our visions in real actions, right, into products, right? Like social scan is supporting many major blockchains as a core infrastructure partner by providing blockchain explorers and many more to chains like Monad, Story, Zetachain, Tyco, all these good projects. At the same time, Social Scan has a consumer-facing end where it really wants to deliver the arcane on-chain insights in a more intuitive way to end users, right? Like I mentioned, meme hunting or scouting for memes would be something interesting, right? And also, it's likely going to be a very constant theme if you consider meme as a kind of a general definition for any assets that's launching on chain day one and being fungible token, right? So that's gonna last a while. And I think as developer, if you feel you're interested in leveraging some of our user different functions or data streams, or would like to build similar functionalities in your applications, reach out to us on Twitter or Telegram or anywhere, any sort of sources. We'd love to actually figure out a way to support you guys. And I think as of today, Web3 definitely is in great need for awesome decentralized applications. So yeah, so that's where we definitely want to contribute back to the ecosystem as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Hopefully, we'll have more users and developers contributing, and Hemera network will flourish. One last question, Arthur, before we depart. You know, say a young developer or a founder is there in these specific regulatory times, in these specific 2025 March and sort of times that they want to start a company. Can you suggest two or couple of ideas that you think can be a great hit in these markets?
Yeah, that's also a great question because starting from January this year, I've been rethinking about the startup journey and how you know we could have or should be building our startup from now going forwards, because and the reason is really because in short, we're living in such a great time, right? Like that no humanity history has ever seen such a great time. The reason why is really we're seeing the next generation of revolution, because AI is not just one type of technology. It's really general purpose technology that's going to power the entire humanity, including Web3, right? So given this assumption, right, as a new founder, if you were gonna start up a new company, I think many of the previous startup lessons and also the tools that we've been using will be obsolete very soon. And one can even go pretty extreme, to predict that in 3 years' time, maybe um, most of the startups will start by solo founders, where they can hire AI developers, AI designers, AI product managers, AI marketers, right? To help bootstrap their startup ideas. So then, if you look at today, then as a new founder, I think there are many opportunities to look into. On one side, I would just say, hey, find a very tight niche and utilize, no matter if it is AI or cryptography, or both, ideally, to tackle that niche biggest pain points, right? It can be automation, it can be informational gap, it can be a traditional industry where it's so far from AI that nobody in the industry has been utilizing AI yet, and just dive into it, utilize existing technologies to solve the problem fastest, acquire users, generate revenue. Um, and then that would be my suggestion in terms of what to do with startup funding today. Because once you dive into it, then along the way, if you are a fast learner, assuming you're a fast learner, because you have to be one as founder, right? Then you will likely discover a lot of knowledge that nobody else has, and just utilize again AI as a productivity tool, and blockchains as a new kind of ownership and also privacy tool, um, and just solve the problem. I think you will discover something amazing eventually. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Arthur. I think hopefully we see someone, doing some of these ideas. But, great to have you on this On-Chain India podcast. I think it was great chatting with you. Thanks for the in-depth, technicalities on how Hemera is working. We should definitely, do another, probably a quarter after, once things are live, once, the more traction and more sort of users are there, and can't wait to see you guys succeed in this year.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks so much. Thank you for the invite today, and nice meeting you.